You may have noticed a trend on this channel so far. I've only reviewed good movies. Guess it's time I do a bad one. The Fifth Wave is a movie that's directed by Jay Blakeson. It stars Chloe Grace Moretz, Nick Robinson, and Alex Rowe. The Fifth Wave is a movie that follows a high school student named Cassie, who is eventually separated from her family because of an alien invasion. These aliens attack the inhabitants of the Earth in what are called waves, and they are eventually the cause of why her and her brother get separated. Because he's the only remaining survivor, she has to go on a journey to find him, and during this journey, she eventually falls in love or something with this guy named Evan. This movie is actually not the movie that I intended to review this week. All throughout the week, I was thinking about reviewing Fantastic Mr. Fox, because last week I reviewed Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, and they also put Fantastic Mr. Fox on Disney Plus this week. So I thought, hey, I'll just review Wes Anderson's other animated movie. But last night, I was hanging out in my living room with my family, and this came on, and it was so atrocious that I had to talk about it. I always try to start off with something really good, and I always save my negative comments towards the end of the video if I have negative comments. So far, I've only had negative comments with a few things on just a few movies, but this movie review is going to be very different because I took notes for this last night. About halfway through the movie, I was just so appalled by what I was seeing that I just thought, okay, I have to review this tomorrow. So I started taking notes, and as I just started taking notes, I couldn't find one thing about it. I guess you can say the acting is okay. I mean, it was okay. The acting was okay. That was really the only thing that I can find somewhat redeeming about it. I don't like to give movies hate. Any kind of movie out there, I don't like to give hate. Just because I know that directors and actors and, I mean, you fill in the blank on a movie set, everyone is trying to do their job to the best of their capabilities. And sometimes movies just don't pan out. So I have respect for people who try to make movies, and if they don't turn out okay, I still have respect for you because you tried your best. Honestly, I don't know if the people tried their best in this one. I'm just going to be honest. I tried my darndest to find something good in this movie. Not something great. I just tried to find something good because I knew, okay, about halfway through watching it, I realized there's not going to be anything great in this movie. But I just tried to find something at least somewhat good, and I really couldn't find anything. The acting is okay. It's not wonderful or anything. It's not the best. It's not even, like, good. It's just kind of there. If you like this movie, I apologize. I apologize for all the things I'm about to say, because I know if you like this movie, you're not gonna appreciate what I say. But they could have been better. And I'm gonna try not to be super harsh with this movie, because I don't want to give it hate, like I just said. But in some ways, you have to be harsh with it, because this could have been really cool. This could have been a really good movie. I'm a firm believer that any movie idea, you can do something really great with it, as long as it's executed properly. You know, I was listening to a director's roundtable one time, and Ridley Scott, who directed Alien and Gladiator and Blade Runner and a bunch of other movies that are really great, he said you could direct a movie about a pen, and as long as you execute it properly, people would like it, and it would work as a movie. And I believe in that. I believe any movie can work as long as it's executed properly. And I just believe this movie fell flat on its face, and it was not executed properly at all. My first gripe with this movie is that I absolutely had no emotional connection to these characters. They're literally just characters that are there. And they try to create these emotional moments. They try to evoke some type of emotion out of you, whether that be sadness or happiness or whatever. They do that all throughout the movie, like a movie should. But before you have these emotional moments, or they should be emotional moments, you should have moments in your movie. Sorry, I keep using the word moments a lot there. You should have these situations in this movie before you have these emotional scenes where you get to know these characters. You get to see what their life is like. You get to know their character traits. You get to know a little bit about them. And this movie just really abruptly starts and just kind of, it's just like, yeah, this is what's going on. And now Cassie's dad's gonna die. That's the main one that I'm trying to think of, where it's this really emotional moment where Cassie's dad is gonna sacrifice himself or something. I don't know what it is. He's gonna die, and it's this really drawn out, long, emotional moment. But before all that, what do we hear from Cassie's dad? What do we hear from him? Just a couple of words, a couple filler words. They don't even move the plot along. And you expect me to care about this person? No. A really good character moment, I'm thinking more along the lines of like building that relationship up between Cassie and her dad. And they might do this in the book. I don't know. I've never read the book. But they could have this moment where maybe her dad is, instead of just, giving her this pistol and being like, oh yeah, here, you need this. Instead of just doing that like they do in this movie, they could have done something where her dad was just like, listen, if we ever get separated, you know what, maybe I should teach you how to survive in the woods by yourself, or take care of your brother or something. And that could have been a really good, like, character deepening moment that could emotionally connect us with that father-daughter relationship. But instead, they just do nothing. Her dad just gives her a pistol, and that's that. Another gripe I have with this movie is the aliens themselves. They're really, really weak antagonist. And I think they could be a really, really great antagonist. But instead, they build up all this tension, or at least try to build up all this tension, because they show that these aliens have the power to control these waves. They can cause buildings to be destroyed by this huge tidal wave. They can cause electronics to stop, and airplanes are going to fall out of the air, and cars are going to wreck into each other. They show that people are going to be infected, and millions of people are going to die worldwide. And this could be a really great way to build up tension. Instead, they use some really, really bad CGI. It looks like I could have done this myself with just like a computer or something, like a personal like Mac. But anyways, it's pretty bad CGI, and I feel like that's something that doesn't really build up the tension that well. Something else that causes the tension to just entirely cease in this movie completely is the way that they made the alien look. These aliens could be really scary. They're a parasite that take over your brain, and they control a human's thoughts, and that could be really frightening and a really great tool for an alien to use. And they just don't present it in a way that looks cool, or in a way that's scary and really makes you feel like, oh wow, this antagonist could be really bad. Instead, we get this shot of an alien. Wow. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I look at that, I just crap my pants because I'm so scared. I mean, really, the first time I looked at that, when it showed up on the screen, I laughed out loud. That no joke either. I laughed as soon as I saw it, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is what we've been leading up to. This is what's causing all of this. Also, why do the aliens need Earth? Why do they need this planet? I think somebody even asks this question in the movie and we don't hear an answer for it. But why do they need Earth? That could have been a really cool character moment for all of these aliens. It may let us see like a certain side of why they need this planet. We don't understand that. We don't get that at all. Instead, we just see a big spaceship coming down, and like this is what's happening right here. And you may be thinking, well, in a movie like Alien, we don't know why the alien's why it's attacking these people or whatever. But we don't need to know why it is, because the humans on Alien, in the spaceship on the Nostromo, we were the ones that invaded their planet. and they brought back some alien species, so we don't need to know why it's attacking them. It's attacking them because it's in a foreign environment. It doesn't know the people around them. It's scared. So it's this killing monster, and so we don't need to know that in Alien. That's what I'm saying. It's just we don't understand why this is. Nothing works in this movie. It's irritating for me to think about, and I've been talking about how all this alien stuff doesn't work. Oh, it doesn't work for this movie. It doesn't work for this movie. Well, you know why? Because this movie really isn't about aliens. It's not really about aliens taking over the world. It's actually about romance. I think that they should have just cashed in on this action thriller alien thing going on. I think they should have just fully cashed in on that. And instead of focusing on the romance aspects of it, they could have made something a whole lot better. And I'm not saying that romance doesn't work and that I hate the romance genre. I don't. I think romance is a pretty good genre, and I generally like it. But when you try to mix movies together, when you try to mix genres together, sometimes it's very hard to properly execute that, properly pull that off with it seeming great and natural and wonderful. And so really, I started asking myself as I was watching this, what is this movie trying to go for? Is it trying to be a romance movie, or is it trying to be an alien invasion movie? With this movie, I don't think you can have the best of both worlds. I think maybe if you did change some things around with characters or something like that, maybe you could have it a little bit. I still don't think it would really work. I think you just kind of have to reshift your thoughts on what you're doing and find out. They should have found out what they were trying to do, where they were trying to go with this, instead of just trying to mix the two, because now it's just a jumbled mess. And that's why I keep saying over and over and over again, nothing works in this movie. Nothing works in this movie because they try to throw these two genres together that just don't mix well. So know what your movie is before you make it. And I would be saying a completely different thing if the romance in this movie was actually good. If I actually liked it. Because it's just not good at all. Because I don't care about characters, I don't care about their love life. The last thing I want to do if I don't care about that character as a person, the last thing I want to know about is their love life. They portray Cassie in this movie to just be this teenager that only cares about muscles. I mean, literally, there's a couple shots in this movie where she's falling in love with this guy named Evan, but she watches him out of this window at one point cutting wood, and then there's another scene where she watches him bathe in this river, and the camera's literally just panning up this dude's abs, and she's just drooling at the mouth over this guy, and is that what love is? Is that really what love is? Is that why I should care about these people? I don't think so. And as it turns out, Evan is actually one of the aliens that they call the Other in this movie, the Others. He turns out to be one of the Others, and Cassie's a little mad, rightfully so probably, and he's telling her that he thinks of love, as as an alien species. He sees love as just a way to reproduce and carry on his kind. And she asks him this question, and we get this glorious response, to which, after I watched it, I literally I busted a gut. I laughed so hard.
Do you really believe that?
I did. But then I saw you.
That's smooth. That's smooth, Evan. If you thought all this was bad, I haven't even breached the surface. There's an entire subplot to this movie. What I've talked about in this review is just the plot. This is the regular plot. This is the basic story of what's going on. And I haven't even talked about the subplot yet. And I'm not going to, because it's as atrocious as this one that I've talked about. It's very obvious they tried to set up a sequel in this one. At the end, Cassie finds her brother, and they escape to this little sanctuary base camp that her and her friends have created, and that kind of goes along with the subplot, which I didn't talk about. But it's very obvious that they were setting up this sequel to happen, and I'm so happy that they didn't. Or at least I'm not aware that they did have one, if they did. But to my knowledge, they didn't set up a sequel, and it's very obvious why they didn't, because this movie is just, it's utter garbage, and I'm not surprised that people don't like it. I really, really strongly dislike this movie. I mean, just to further expand, I didn't even know the characters' names in this movie. I mean, halfway through watching it, I was like, you know what? I don't even know these characters' names yet. Just because I was that disinterested in these people. I didn't even know their names, and I had no desire to know their names. So about halfway through the movie, I was like, oh, okay, I need to consciously listen to see if someone is going to say their name, because that's the only way I'm going to get to know their name now, that I'm halfway through the movie. I mean, this movie really, it's bad, guys. This is one movie I would not recommend seeing if you haven't seen it. All that being said, I think I'm going to give The Fifth Wave a score of 1.5 stars, or if it's going to be a letter grade, I would give it a D. It really is just not a good movie. I didn't find one good thing about it. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, and I definitely think there are way worse things out there. But I very much did not like this movie. There was nothing good about it that I could find. If you want to watch it, you can. You've been warned by me that it's really bad, so I would recommend not watching it. But if you want to, be my guest, and maybe you'll, who knows, maybe you'll enjoy it, maybe more than I did. I don't know if I was just being really hard on this or what, but to me it had nothing good about it at all. That's going to do it for this review. If you liked what you saw here, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when new videos are posted, which will be weekly. Leave me a comment, like what you see. The review is now concluded.